In just a short career so far, Harris Dickinson has already marked himself out as one of the UK's most exciting actors. Um, After first making waves in the acclaimed indie film Beach Rats in 2017, he starred in everything from franchise blockbusters The King's Man and Palme d'Or winners, Sadness, to homegrown British films Scrapper and heartbreaking true life stories, The Iron Claw. As if that wasn't enough, Dickinson has now made the move behind the camera, writing and directing the new drama Urchin, which arrives in UK cinemas today. The compassionate film stars Frank Dillon as a homeless young man named Mike, who is attempting to rebuild his life following a short stint in prison, all while desperately trying to keep his previous substance addiction issues at bay. It came from my own sort of proximity to people that were dealing with cyclical behavior rather than just addiction and homelessness, he explains. It was a lot about trauma for me and how we navigate things when we've been through something quite extreme. So I guess that work was coinciding with a script that was already being developed. And the idea evolved into something more specific. The plan had originally been for Mike's story to be one half of a dual narrative, but Dickinson eventually decided that it worked better to put the entire focus on this one character, exploring someone who is a similar age to me, kind of battling against themselves and testing the audience's level of tolerance for someone who's making difficult decisions and isn't always likable. Just trying to build a full human picture of someone going through that, really, he says. And then homelessness is the backdrop rather than the main point for me. Although on the one hand, the film very much fits into the strand of social realism associated with iconic British filmmakers such as Ken Loach, and film also takes a more experimental approach at times. But throughout its runtime, we see several surrealist flourishes, and this was something he was partly emboldened to do after his experiences working with a number of skilled filmmakers as an actor. And, you know, kind of feel like I've been lucky with all the directors that I've worked with and enjoyed, he says, you know, bring out to the family. And then, Helena Rhine, Sean Durkin, Ruben Ostlund, Joanna Hogg, all of them are directors that embrace the more surreal side of cinema. And I think I've always been interested in that as a viewer as well. So maybe it just feels like an extension of what I'm interested in and what I like to watch and how I like to experience stories. And I think there's a certain naivety that gets you through it when you make it for the first time. Like, you don't have rules or expectations in place. So you kind of just go for it. Still leaning into surrealism did also lead to some of the more challenging aspects of the filmmaking process for Dickinson. Trying to get your vision across to a group of people is hard. He says, it's like a really strange thing to have to try and convey something that is so lucid and unconcrete. Clearly it worked. The film was included in the uncertain regard section of this year's edition of the prestigious Cannes Film Festival, where it premiered to an extremely positive reception and even an acting prize for Dylan's central performance. Um, and it wasn't Dickinson's first time on the Croisette, but how different was it being there with a film that he'd created from scratch? Uh, I mean, being there with Triangle was overwhelming and special in so many ways. He recalls, and then we went back the next year to look for financing for this film, and had to do a lot of meetings where I was trying to convince people of the film that initially was a and then to be back there showing the film in such a prestigious way, yeah, it was special. For Frank to get the recognition he so deserved, that was a really meaningful experience and overwhelming. It kind of took me a while to fully understand what that meant. So where does Dickinson go from here? Well, if you believe some internet rumors, he's one of Amazon's top choices to take on the long vacant 007 gig, with his name frequently mentioned on lists of those most likely to take on the mantle in Denis Villeneuve's upcoming entry in the iconic spy franchise. But when we ask him about this speculation, he perhaps fairly doesn't seem especially keen to be drawn on the subject. I think there's probably about 50 to 100 people that get asked this question. He says both research, whatever, so it doesn't feel necessarily unique or honorable to be asked it anymore. There is one iconic Brit that Dickinson be playing. However, it was announced earlier this year that he is starring as none other than John Lennon in Sam Mendes' ambitious quartet of films about the Beatles, with Mescal, Joseph Quinn, and Barry Keoghan playing the other members of the Fab Four. Filming has recently begun on the project, and Dickinson is certainly enjoying the process so far. And it'd been amazing, man. He says, it's such a unique experience to play someone of that caliber. Uh, um, I mean, it's intimidating, but it's enriching. It's an opportunity to delve into something incredibly complex and challenging, which I've loved. I feel really lucky to go to work every day and get to attempt to dig into who and what that is. And the choice to make 4 different films, one from the perspective of each Beatle, has been met with criticism from some quarters. But for Dickinson, this only adds to the appeal. It's inevitably longer, but I think that's what you want as an actor. He explains, you want to be able to spend a good amount of time on something and get a good opportunity to really invest in it properly. That's kind of the dream. Interestingly, Dickinson did also give himself a small acting role in Urchin, playing Mike's somewhat unreliable friend, Nathan. But this hadn't always been his plan. An actor had been lined up only to drop out for personal reasons. And given he'd already been running lines and had a built-in dynamic with Dylan, he ended up taking the role. Still, he can't imagine that future directorial efforts will see him double up in a main role. E200 Anno, I don't think so. He says when asked about the possibility, I admire people that can. I admire the Fastbinders, Cassavetes, uh, Bradley Cooper, even. I just don't know if I've got it in me to do that. So what we expect from future Dickinson directed features, I think the tone of this film is probably something I want to carry across, he explains. The level of humor and drama and sort of high stakes. But I don't know what that means for genre, really. Of course, he'll have to balance any writing and directing efforts with an acting career that only seems likely to rise further. And on that note, there's plenty of filmmakers. He's hoping he'll manage to collaborate with going forwards. I've got a long list that kind of changes, and I'm adding to it. He says he picks out Julia Ducournau, Justine Triet, The Anatomy of a Fall, Lynn Ramsey, Die My Love, and Paul Thomas Anderson, One Battle After Another, as just a few of the names he'd like to tick off. It's long, long, old list. If he can build on the promise shown with Urchin, it probably won't be too long until other actors are adding Dickinson's name to their own lists. Uh, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the like button for more exciting content. Can a young actor turn director make a splash in the film industry with just one movie? If Harris Dickinson has already made a name for himself in the UK film scene with roles in Beach Rats, The King's Man, and Triangle of Sadness. Now he's ventured into directing with the new drama Urchin, starring Frank Delane as a homeless young man struggling to rebuild his life. The film explores themes of trauma, addiction, and cyclical behavior, drawing from Dickinson's own experiences. Originally, the story was meant to be part of a dual narrative, but Dickinson focused on one character to create a more nuanced picture. Urchin blends social realism with surrealist elements, a risk Dickinson was emboldened to take after working with directors like Helena Ryan and Ruben Östlund. The film premiered at Cannes to a positive reception, earning an acting prize for Dylan's performance. Dickinson's experience at Cannes was overwhelming, especially after previously attending with his acting work. He's now set to play John Lennon in Sam Mendes's Beatles Quartet, a role he's excited to take on. Filming has begun, and Dickinson is enjoying the challenge of portraying the iconic musician. The four-film approach allows the actors to delve deeper into their characters, which Dickinson appreciates. He also made a cameo appearance in Urchin, playing a friend of Dylan's character. Future projects may not see him doubling as actor and director, a feat he admires but isn't sure he's ready for. Dickinson hopes to collaborate with directors like Julia Ducournau and Lynn Ramsey in the future, with a long, long old list of desired collaborations, that he's likely to make waves in the industry for a while. It looks like Dickinson is on a roll, and we can wait to see what's next. After all, he's already beating the odds with his directorial debut. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the like button for more exciting content. Can a young actor turned director make a splash in the film industry with just one movie? Harris Dickinson has already made a name for himself in the UK film scene with roles in Beach Rats, The King's Man, and Triangle of Sadness. Now he's ventured into directing with the new drama Urchin, starring Frank Delane as a homeless young man struggling to rebuild his life. And so the film explores themes of trauma, addiction, and cyclical behavior, drawing from Dickinson's own experiences. Originally, the story was meant to be part of a dual narrative, but Dickinson focused on one character to create a more nuanced picture. Urchin blends social realism with surrealist elements, a risk Dickinson was emboldened to take after working with directors like Helena Ryan and Ruben Östlund. The film premiered at Cannes to a positive reception, earning an acting prize for Dylan's performance. And so it was like Dickinson's experience at Cannes
was, in terms of overwhelming, especially after previously attending with his acting.
He's now set to play John Lennon in Sam Mendes' Beatles Quartet, a role he's excited to take on. Filming has begun, and Dickinson is enjoying the challenge of portraying the iconic musician. The four-film approach allows the actors to delve deeper into their characters,
which Dickinson appreciates.
He also made a cameo appearance in Urchin, playing a friend of Billen's character. Future projects may not see him doubling as actor and director, a feat he admires, but isn't sure he's ready for. Dickinson hopes to collaborate with directors like Julia Ducournau and Lynn Ramsey in the future, with a long, long old list of desired collaborations. He's likely to make waves in the industry for a while. It looks like Dickinson is on a roll, and we can't wait to see what's next. After all, he's already beating the odds with his directorial debut. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time, keep next time.